So obviously we've had a real. I'm joined today by Modern Bock. How you doing, Modern Bock?
Hey, welcome. I'm glad to be on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
No, it's absolute pleasure. And I know you have asked me to be on your show, so you need to make a plan, and then I can come on your show, and I'll try punt it on my channel.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll respond this week.
So let's talk about the two games today. We had the two games. We had Wales play France, and then we had South Africa, Japan playing South Africa. We'll talk about obviously the first game that happened this morning between Wales and France. What was your overall assessment of that game?
Wales are a little bit on the lucky side. Some dumb moves gave them the thing. And I think that France actually arrived. This was the game where everybody questions that if France is there or not. And they actually arrived. I mean, they were really good on the breakdown. Their defense was impressive in most regards. And Wales just defensively did not bring as much as they could. They have one of the poorest defensive rates of the tournament. And it was overall, I don't know, Wales are a little bit lucky to come through here. There was some good moments in the game, but a lot of kicking, a lot of trying to just not play the ball for large parts of it.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Mr. Rugby fan. Welcome to the show. I'm a biased Bock Rugby show. Never in a million years. I'm just wearing this because I'm cold today, and I just felt like wearing something warm. So that's why I'm wearing my Bock jersey. But yeah, I found it. I got to watch the first half in entirety, and I had to do something in the second half. But I did catch it a bit later after the main game today, and I don't know. It just for me, obviously, everything changed after the red card, and I'm not even going to argue the fact that was a red card any day of the week. You name it, that would have been a red card, no matter when you were playing.
Exactly. That's not this World Cup. That's every World Cup. That was a poor move, and it just shows you frustrations and the tempo of maybe some players in the team. I don't know if that was something pointing up, but that was disappointing from a French side because they were in control of this game for most of it.
Yeah, I honestly felt that changed the impact. They still, I agree with you, Mr. Rugby fan. France played exceptionally well with 14 players. And Wales were super lucky to actually win that game in the end because that last rip, I don't know, that was seriously marginal if that was forward or backwards. But the question was, when the ref asks the question to the TMO, the question was, we think it's a try. Can you give me compelling evidence that it's not? And obviously, there's no compelling evidence if it's forward or backwards. So you've got to go with the on-field decision. So that's what it came down to. It came down to that initial question that was asked.
Exactly. And I mean, in my opinion, if you've got 30 minutes to try and score a try, and that's the only try you can come up with. And to be fair, one of the only times they were really dangerous in those last 30 minutes, with France almost actually scoring against them with 14 men on the field, that is something to heavily concern us about as a Welsh player or fan. I mean, they definitely did not look as sharp as they all in this game. There was no impressive attacks off set pieces. They couldn't keep the ball in long phases. They had some lucky moments, but that red card was the game changer.
Look, I know. Obviously, Wales they've got a decent set piece. I think they function at a certain level, but I think next week they're going to come under serious pressure from a serious set piece driven team, forward dominance kind of team. Look, I'm going to just scratch it down. There maybe just Wales had a pretty poor day. That was it. I think they are better than what they played today. But yeah, they are super lucky to be in the semi-finals. But at the end of the day, a win's a win, regardless of how you look at it.
Exactly. It doesn't matter now what happened in this game. They now have a new opportunity to continue further. This game is now history. So I don't think you can take tons from it. I think that they didn't arrive as much as they could have, but to be fair, a win is a win. They did at least what they needed to get across the line, but I don't think they were the masters of their own fate there.
Yeah, look, I fully agree. But look, I'm going to be completely honest. South Africa haven't beaten Wales in quite some time. I think it's 3 games we haven't beaten them. So they've had the one up on us. So I'm still very, very concerned for next week, and they're still a top contender.
Yeah.
For me, overall over this weekend, based on the performances of all the teams, I think the 4 best teams actually got through. But I think France probably maybe should have pipped it right in the end if it wasn't for that red card.
Vaha Mina is going to have definitely something to explain to his teammates. That was cynical, and I think that's quite sad, because I think the French, if they can continue that form, that was probably one of their best games in the tournament, in my opinion. They had a consistent 80-minute strong game. Even if not anything, they played better in the second half than they did in the first half. I know they got some breaks in the first half and they couldn't get more points, but I mean, with 14 men, they still held off the Welsh exceptionally well. So it would have been interesting to see them. And as South African, I was a little bit nervous about facing that French side at about 60 minutes.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think at the end of the day, I'm looking at some of the stats here. The stats are pretty even. I think France had about 100 more run meters, a bit more territory, a bit more possession. They had a bit of a better tackle success rate. Obviously, they had the red card and a few more penalties. But overall, just according to stats, no, stats don't tell everything, but stats, it looks like it should have been a France game, and it's, except for that one red card. That's the only thing that I think, and I said it before the quarterfinal started. I said no tier 1 team can beat another tier 1 team with only 14 players. I honestly believe that, especially at this level. The All Blacks could probably pull it off, but they'd also find that bloody difficult. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
No, exactly. I think that the 14 men was just a small ladder too far, because they, to be fair, did hold off for a good chunk of time. And I mean, I think it was just impressive to see the French have very outstanding clean breaks, outstanding offloads, defenders beaten stats, everything, passes, all of that was on the French side. And the Welsh just didn't have an answer for most of the game, which is something interesting, because Wales so far have had a pretty good defense in this tournament. They held off Australia well in that game. They've had a consistently strong defense, but the French came out of nowhere and pulverized their set piece, pulverized their breakdown, and just broke through when they could.
Well, I also think, in all fairness, I think France are preparing for 2023. Let's be honest. I think that's the World Cup they're going to be after. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Joe. Joe's always got a nice way of making things sound a lot better. But Joe, I think France are preparing for 2023. I think they've got a young team. They've got some young players. Intermac, I'm really liking the way that he plays. And I just think another 2-3 years in the saddle playing Six Nations, I think he's going to be seriously battle hard, and he's going to be a real threat the next World Cup. So I think they've got a team that's on the rise. Let's be honest. Before the Six Nations, everyone had written France off, let's be honest. And I'd say, look, they made it to the quarterfinals. They were this close to getting to the semi, so I think they're on a team on the rise going forward.
No, exactly. I mean, there was some impressive attacking, especially from the Dupont and Makita. They definitely had great play together. He's a young player who's got a lot of growth, and he's continuing to just every game perform. He was governing that game left, right, and center. And even even the replacement also really strong. So this is definitely a team that I would be a little bit nervous about facing them in the next year's Six Nations. I think they're doing it right.
They're doing it right. I'm hoping that they have a few more rules in the top 14 that limit. Look, there's a lot of South Africans play in the top 14, but I'm sure they're going to start putting quotas or limits on it. And trying to obviously get more French players coming through the system, because they've got the young talent. If you look at the under-20s, they've got the talent coming through. So they could be absolutely deadly 2023.
Exactly. I think that's going to be quite impressive, and I think there's a lot of commendation. I mean, as a French supporter, I don't think you have to be. It was disappointing, but that's probably the way you'd want to go out of a World Cup. Tight, close game, fighting till the death. That's probably if there has to be a way out, that's probably the best way.
Hey, Andrew Coetzee, I've just read your comment there. I know that World Rugby what they want to do is they want to have one World Cup where they expand the game, and then one World Cup where they make a lot of money. And in all fairness, this last World Cup, I thought it would go. This World Cup no, the 2023, the next World Cup, I thought it would go to Ireland. I honestly did think that. But South Africa was voted as the safest. It was quite strange. But and then obviously it went to France because obviously they had a lot more. They obviously got the cash, and they obviously be able to pump in the money into World Rugby, because World Rugby basically only have one competition.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, that was the France Wales game. Like I said, it was not for me. Nothing much to write home about. Wales are through, regardless of how they got there, by hook or by crook. 1 point, still 1 point, and you're sometimes having an ugly victory is just as great as having a beautiful loss. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they say that even a great team is a sign. Even they play badly, they still win. So credit to the Welsh for pulling it through in the end and keeping the full 80 there and actually fighting. So credit to them.
Perfect. Okay, well then we go to the next game, the Japan versus South Africa game. Your overall thoughts of the game?
A scary first half, impressive second half, and overall a little bit. I definitely think I'm gonna have to go to the doctor for some blood pressure medication. It was a little tight, but and credit to Japan. I think that if there's no team that's more impressive and more heart filling than that team. They were very impressive throughout the game. Tried everything, and so on. South Africa came with some outstanding tactical play. Stuck to their guns and really just stuck to the strategy. Effectively, what everybody was saying they were going to do, that's the way they went. They held the ball, held the wall, and then slowly just annoyed the forward pack into to falling apart in the second half with scrums and lineouts, and then the back line got the opportunities. Probably my biggest question mark from South Africa today is missed opportunities. That's what everybody's. I think the biggest issue is that there was at least 4 tries, in my opinion, that were not capitalized, and a couple of kicks also. Is that going to hurt us going forward when the margins are much tighter?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was very, very frustrated the first half. I was actually quite nervous before the game, and at halftime I was even more nervous.
Yeah.
Andrew was saying there that we were lucky to not get the red card. I think we were 5 centimeters away from getting a red card, literally 5 centimeters. And hey, Mark, welcome to the show. And I think we were that close to getting a red card, and that could have changed the entire outlook of that game.
Exactly. I mean, also the 2 disallowed tries also could have then. So there was a lot of what if moments. I agree with Joan a little way. I don't want to get too much in, but the ref, there was some questionable calls there. But unfortunately, there's a little bit of a label and a stigma on South African fans moaning about the ref. So I would decide to refrain from it. A win is a win. We'll take it from there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Joe. Yes, some questionable calls, especially players jumping in the air. That's like a no-go area, and you've really got to protect the players in the air. So, but I'm going to leave it at that. And a lot of people are not very impressed with Willie. I don't think he brought anything special to the game. Very, very iffy under the high ball. I don't know. The guy's just completely off form at the moment, my personal opinion. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, because he's not a bad player. We know he can be world class, but he's not in form at the moment.
No, exactly. He isn't. It's frustrating to see, because there's a lot of players around him which give him the space to be world class, and he's not taking the opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities to get today. He was, in my opinion, defensively maybe he was average, but to be fair, a lot of cover defense was rather helping him out. Overall, on attack, he with no real pressure, a couple of key moments, he just couldn't do the right move, and that concerns me heavily. He just didn't arrive to this game at all.
Look, I see Mr. Rugby Fan here saying obviously we should look at France staying at 15. I'm thinking, you know what? Let's go for some young blood. You know what I mean? We know that our wingers are pretty decent. I'm thinking that what's his name, man, from the Stormers? Oh, very brilliant player, Damon Willemse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the right time to bring him on now. Let's be honest. They're going to have to stick with Billy the whole way through. It's going to be like that. But we've got someone with electric feet that could actually play, and maybe even play off the bench in one game.
Exactly, but that's something I was concerned about. Obviously, you can see the strategy here from Rassie is to effectively pad the forward pack as much as possible. But I do wonder whether especially like even the Herschel Yankees and Faf de Klerk side, like we were talking about the bench. He only really subbed Faf in like 7 minutes to go. We already had the pretty much close to the win at I'd say 15 to 20 minutes to go, and at that point it just seems odd to not bring him in and give him some game time also.
There's Joe. Geez, did Don just praise the Stormers? Can we archive that? You got to know, Joe, that Tyron Modern Box also a huge big Bulls fan. So we really not big fans of the Stormers. It's just I live in Stormers country, so I'm surrounded by. You won't believe it, but there's a building, there's a house that's painted fully in Western Province colours. Like I mean, fully flags, the whole trip. And then there's a guy that drives through the town with must have about 10 flags on the car coming off the top of the car. Some serious Stormers fans in my little town where I live.
No, the Stormers are a tough bunch. I've got a couple. Sadly, there's a couple of fans that still are around here in Pretoria. We're trying to get rid of them, deport them, but they don't seem to be leaving. It's one of those things. It's a real problem in Pretoria.
Yeah, well, let's not get sidetracked with Super Rugby. So let's get back to the game. I honestly felt, let's be honest, South Africa basically have, for want of a better word, two world-class tight fives.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think of any other team that could bring on those five tight five players from the bench. I just can't think of another team that can actually do that.
Exactly. That's probably whereas New Zealand, in my opinion, have the opposite. Where they've got you could swap out their entire backline with another set of outstanding players. So that's South Africa's is ace up the sleeve. Is our entire front five can swap out, and you'd be able to take on any team in the world also. So that's definitely something you can see, and Rassie is building heavily on that with the way that he's structuring his bench.
Because I was just looking at it, when the guys were coming off the bench, and you saw Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx off the bench. Vincent Koch, Mostert, Marcus Snyman.
Yeah, the names. No, it's insane, and we are lucky to have that. I think that's probably that's our biggest ace up our sleeve. And you can see also the strategy that we're playing is that it's a case of the first, as we've said before the game, that the first 40 for South Africa is effectively a feel out 40. It's a 40 to just tie the other team, slow down, feel the game. And then from there, we slowly irritate the team into just conceding tries, similar to I've done in every game. And some games it works, and some games it doesn't. And that's the question mark is if we fall behind, we have a hard time chasing, something I think Wales also probably has a hard time doing. That'll be interesting.
Look, let's look. I think we've got some exceptional backs. I think Faf and Handré have been a little bit off the boil. I thought they were a little bit better today. I thought Faf played a better game today. I didn't think he was man of the match personally. That's just my personal opinion. When I was watching the game, I thought Makazole Mapimpi would have got the game. Not because obviously he got the 2 tries, but defensively he was really good. He didn't. Sorry, my dog's just walked in to say hello.
No, I agree with you.
So give us some attention.
Yeah, fair enough. Mapimpi, in my opinion, was outstanding in defense. So both a lot of times around there, but also on cover defense, really impressive. Looked for work and had 2 tries that, especially the first one, I don't think he had any right to get. So he was definitely a star player. Faf, in my opinion, most likely what the adjudication of that man of the match is from his defensive work, because he was very frustrating to slow down their fast ball. His defensive work, he got an interception. He was it was around there the whole time, annoying Tamura and all of that. And I think that slowed down just that fraction to give us our rush defense time to get up, which I do give credit to Faf.
Look, I also thought I'm loath to say this, but I thought Damian Delende had a killer of a game. Yeah. I'm very loath to say it but for me, I think he has started improving.
Yeah,
he really has. I think he's learning that being a proper 12, and defensively he was really good. But I think it's. I think with Rusty's plan is to try to settle the back, because we haven't changed our backs for how many games? And I mean our top games.
Exactly. No, we haven't. Yeah, no, it's been, for the most important games, I think we've got the exact same backs now since the beginning of the Rugby Championship, which is great to see.
Ultimate sharpshooter, I thought Sia's performance was world class. I thought he was really good. Yeah, he had one or two. I think it was a penalty against him at one point. But I think defensively, jeepers, those hits he was putting in, he was a nuisance everywhere on the field, and that's the Sia we want to see. You know, I honestly feel, because he's a different kind of. He's not a traditional. He's not a fetcher. He's not a blind side. He's not an open side. He's not a blind side. So you go, what is he? You know what I mean? Does he play in the wider channels? You know, sometimes. So he's like a. He's a different kind of forward to me. You know, somebody just brings something very, very different to the game.
Exactly. Saying I agree with you, Philip. Andrew, fast kicking, I agree with you, is frustrating. He does kick a little bit. The kicking, in my opinion, is a strategy they want to go with, and it works. But it just sometimes is too far. And unfortunately, I don't think it's Faf's fault. I think it is very much Rusty's coaching plan. That's my opinion, because Herschel does the same, Kobus does the same. And it is pretty much the strategy they're going with. If we're in our half, we kick. Simple. That's the rule of the South African game plan.
Yeah, I think that's the game plan they've got. Yeah, look, I agree. Look, I think Japan are a team on the rise. I honestly do feel. I think I don't think they played too badly today. I just think they were completely outmuscled across the park. You know, when you're coming into the midfield and you've got a rush defense that is so in your face, and they were dominant tackles. There was almost every tackle was dominant. You know, so every tackle they were going backwards, and you just cannot play the kind of expansive running kind of game when you're going backwards. You cannot do it. And I think for Japan going forward, they're going to have to compete against the New Zealanders and Australians and all that. You have to have proper set piece.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Let's get into that. The set pieces of South Africa today, especially the lineouts, murdered them. I mean, they lost five of their 13 lineouts to South Africa, and in key positions. Probably one of the most important things. And Pieterse and Luat doing world-class work there, stealing balls, just showcasing the quality of that South African lineout. And then on top of that, the maul to back up our lineouts was just insane. I mean, the one...
Did you see that 30-meter maul?
30-meter maul that led to the Marks Faf try. So that's the kind of play, that's the kind of thing South Africa does and does very well, and Japan just couldn't answer it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Ultimate Sharpshooter. I think, look, going based on today's games, I think if we played the same way we played today, I'd say I'd loathe to say this, but we'd battle to beat New Zealand.
Yeah, no, that is exactly it. And I mean, I was talking to some family and that kind of thing. The New Zealand game, we need to come up with a different strategy, and that's what concerns me, South African play at the moment, because we have a really good game plan, a really good strategy, and a good team to fulfill the strategy. But I don't know how many plan Bs we've got, or plan Cs or plan Ds. Whereas New Zealand and England are definitely showcasing a lot more fluidity in their game, understanding the opponent and altering their game plan to it. And that's what concerns me, is what's the plan B? Because we cannot kick the kind of ball we did today to New Zealand, because we can't expect to defend for 30 minutes and not concede one try. We will concede at least two. And chasing New Zealand, Ireland saw yesterday how easy that is to do.
Yeah, look, I agree with you 100%. You know, if I look at New Zealand's kicks, they obviously kick a lot more than South Africa, but all their kicks hit grass. Yeah. They're always contestable, or they're kicked into the stands. So, you know, there's no opportunity that there could be a quick throw and things like that. They control the outcome of their kicks. It's not a kick and hope. You know, whereas I think with Faf and his box kicks and stuff like that, it's a kick and hope. Whereas I think with New Zealand and their box kick, they're using it as a weapon to actually go forward.
Exactly, and I mean that's the thing. They're not using it only just to gain territory. It's almost a platform for attack, and to cause that disarray in their defense, which they thrive off. So it's something that I think South Africa also need to look at, because we discount the quality of our backline on attack when they've got space and move. Besides some of the lost opportunities today, which that was frustrating. when the forward pack just lets the South African team backline play fully, we can cut apart any defense in the world. But a lot of the time, from our own half, we just decide it's fine. We'll just kick it and hope, which is not. It's just not optimal because it does force us to scramble, and it's not a place I think we enjoy to be anyway.
No, I agree with you there 100%, and I think look, I'm hoping that they look, and now we're really going way too far into the future. We're just assuming that we're going to walk over Wales, and I think we're going to find that quite difficult. And let's just focus in on that game. Look, I honestly felt that second half, if South Africa can play the way that they played in the second half for a full 80, very few teams would be able to beat them.
Exactly. And no, that's the kind of gameplay we'll do. The problem is, I wonder if that second 40 is dependent on the first 40, and that I don't think will work for us. We need to be able to overpower a team tactically like that and forward dominance without needing to have them play 40 minutes at us and defend, because we give them too much chance to try and attack, and we just can't have that. What in your opinion, how do you feel our game plan will stack up against Wales for this game? If we play the exact same style of game today, same plan, same strategy, and pretty much same team, how do you feel? Do you think it's going to it'll work?
I've always found Wales to be a team that likes to front up. That if you start hitting them hard, they seem to absorb it, and that's the kind of team that they are. They're just full of like these mongrel kind of players that they just want to get down and dirty, and that's the kind of play they need. So I'm not talking about bash. I'm talking we need set piece dominance. Where I know Wales don't have the same quality scrum. They've only got. They don't have the amount of jumpers that we have. So I think if we can be clinical with our set pieces and actually play the set pieces in the right things, we're going to get the penalties, we kick them over, and we just do scoreboard pressure. I think that's the way we're going to have to beat them. Honestly, that's how I feel we should beat them.
Exactly. And I mean, are you concerned a little bit about the actual? I'm concerned anyway about the actual missed opportunities today. The backline not. I don't know if it was just rustiness, not like pulling together, but considering this same backline has played now a couple of games together, that was just a concern, and it does maybe point to a lot more focus on just getting the scoreboard ticking and not depending on it as much. And I am concerned that Kolbe's injury isn't as healed as people are saying it is.
Look, I agree. I don't think Kolbe will play next week. I think he shouldn't. But in all honesty, I think Sipho Nkosi is an exceptional player. So and he is a 14. He is 14. Yeah, he is a 14. Kolbe is 14. No.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think rather leave him off, hoping that we're going to win the game and have him fully fit against New Zealand, because we need him against New Zealand.
Exactly.
If we get through Wales. I'm not trying to look too far into the future.
Exactly. Who else, in your opinion, then, if we were to now look at like the team, who else would you swap out? Because for me, because if we're swapping out players, for me, I think definitely we need to look at Willie being swapped out. It's just a case of, as we said earlier, we need to either put Galant on, he had a good game, or Damian Willems to give him a chance. And if you don't want to blood young players, and the bench you want to go with is swap, effectively put Willie on the bench and put Frans Steyn on, because effectively you make Willie play 80 anyway. So just swap it around, and if he has to play earlier. But I don't know. I just feel that at the moment he's not bringing enough to the game for that backline, and considering the quality of the rest of that backline, he, in my opinion, is a detriment to it.
Two things. If I look at the thing, I'd say I think Mark's put his hand up today. I think let's be honest, Bongi has been on better form than Mark's this whole year. And I'm glad that we're actually starting to choose players based on form and not reputation. And I think when he came off the bench, he was a different person. He was getting over the gain line. We haven't seen that for a long time. He was dominant. So I'm thinking probably leave him on the bench again. And if he has another great game next week, then bring him up for New Zealand, because he's the kind of player we need against New Zealand. I like Beast starting, and I prefer Kitshoff coming off the bench. I think he brings in a lot more impact. Frans Malherbe, he seems to be improving. I think Eben and Lut I think they should be our starting locks. I think they bring something seriously physical. I think from our forward pack, the only one is Bongi, but I still think he played really well today. But maybe he might be carrying a bit of an injury, and maybe Marks will start next week. Going through the back line, I'd rest Colby. You have to. You can't. The guy is an absolutely exceptional player, but you want your exceptional players to be at exceptional form. And at the end of the day, thinking too far into the future again, New Zealand have exceptional wings, and I think Nkosi going up against George North or something like that. I think Nkosi's got the physicalities. He's a lot bigger. He's good under the high ball. He's good defensively. He understands the systems, and sure, I'm going to make a big call here. I'd probably bring Damian Willemse in at 15. I think he covers 10 and 15 really well. I just think, maybe I'm pulling at straws here, but I just think the guy's an exceptional player.
I fully agree with you, and I'm actually saying that I think that it will also work out, because it almost gives us our own version of that double playmaker that of ABs have actually gotten so right. Is that with Damian Willemse, he's tactically very good for the Stormers, and the Storm, he has done very good. And overall, he is a very clever player and knows how to get space. And in his own right, just like Colby, is very fleet-footed. So he can, if he gets a little bit of space, he can be just as dangerous on attack. So that'll be good to see. And I agree with you. Colby needs to rest a little bit, and not because I just think. But to be fair, though, as much as he needs to rest, did you see that moment where he just decided that screw you for tackling me, and he lifted the guy right over him? It's like, nope. That's not going to happen to me. So, I mean, the guy's got incredible strength in his legs, so credit to him.
Oh, Mr. Rugby fan, Scott Brits at 15. Yeah, that's. LB was saying up top here, and I agree with you, LB. De Allende is one of those players. And every country has their own players in the world. I was talking to 2 Cents Rugby, and they have the same feeling with Geordie Barrett. Yeah. You either love him or you hate him, and De Allende falls into that bracket. I think somebody in another channel was saying he could be the next second coming and walk on water, and we'd still think he was crap.
Exactly. No, unfortunately, I'm the first, and I've said it on multiple videos. People have footage of him. I haven't been a fan of De Allende, but to be fair, today, defensively and attack-wise, he was probably the best backline player we had for a large part of it. I'm also definitely put his hand up, but De Allende, just a couple of try-saving moments, good runs, and just overall just being a nuisance to that attack, that defense, and when we attacked. So I really was impressed with him. And he is, overall this tournament, he has been consistently good.
I agree. Look, LB, I agree 100%. And let's give credit where credit's due. Yeah. De Allende is filling into his role at 12. For a long time we didn't know if it was Esterhuizen or who was going to play at 12. But now that we've settled on De Allende at 12, I think he's filling into that role. I would like to see him distribute a little bit more, but that's just being a little bit harsh. What do you think of Arm's performance today?
I thought it was good. I was just unfortunately a little bit. I don't know. I felt that some moments which were a little shaky, but overall he did. On defense, he was strong. On attack, I felt he was a little shaky.
On defense, he was amazing on defense. And the one thing I like about Am is he knows when to rush up, properly. Yeah, he reads the situation really well.
Yeah, he's key to the kind of rush defense South Africa employs, in my opinion. He's very, very good on that, and defensively he's again continuing to be that consistent player we need him to be. And when he works on defense, when he's on form on his defense, that whole rush defense of ours is almost unbeatable. I think you could probably go back and time it to the times that he's been off form where those tries have happened.
Yeah, I agree, Edu. I think he was a bit nervous on attack, but I think on defense he's amazing. I honestly feel when Am's on form, when Am's on serious form, if you watch him play for the Sharks, he understands space and he understands he understands space, and that's super important. He knows when to hold it in two hands, put it under the arm, and he knows when to jackal for the ball. He's an amazing player, understanding. And the other player that's like that is Colby. Colby understands. The stuff you can't teach players. They're either born with it or not. So and there's some special, like Anton Leonard-Brown's that kind of player. It's like just special.
Exactly.
But it looks like Victor Matfield.
I saw his name on 15. That's probably the only one I'd say I would pick it for. I'd be happy with him on 15. That guy could pop. Imagine a pop from him to Colby out on the wing there. His name on is a beast. He'll be good.
I think you should watch the opening game from Super Rugby. Was it last year? It was when John Mitchell was coach. The opening game against the Hurricanes.
Yes,
when Luert and Arceus Neyman ran the Hurricanes ragged. It was the most amazing thing to watch. These 2 meter tall locks just running everywhere and offloading. It was absolutely incredible.
I was at that game. It was one of the greatest moments ever. I mean, considering the form of the year before, to go on and beat the Hurricanes, considering what the Hurricanes did the year before, that was just magical, especially Arce and Luert. And they are such a fun pair together. That's why I'd also like to see them play together. But to be fair, Eben is continuing to keep his spot there he just is very good at frustrating the opposing front pack. So he deserves a spot at the moment there.
Well, it looks like we've hit 36 minutes. It's been a fairly long show, so I think we'll have to call it there. They seem to. Oh, geez, my screen's just gone blank. Just hold on a second.
No, yeah, it was a good show. Some good things. Let's before you end, what do you think is gonna happen this weekend?
I think New Zealand are going to get a scare, but I think they'll win. But I think they're going to be. It's going to come down to the wire. I honestly feel it's going to come down to a brilliant moment from Siva Reese or something like that. But I think they're going to. I think they're going to get a real wake-up call. I'm not saying that last week, yesterday's game, there was an absolute perfect storm game for them. But I think they're going to come up against a team that's really. They're well trained. They're well drilled. They're very forward dominant. They've got excellent tactical kicker in Owen Farrell. So I think they're going to come. I don't think they're going to come unstuck, but I think they're going to get a serious slap across the head. But I think they'll still win. South Africa, Wales. Oh, look, I'm going to go for a South Africa win. I think South Africa are going to play a very similar style to what they played today in the second half. I don't think it's going to be flash. That's not what South Africa does. You know exactly what South Africa is going to bring on the day. They're going to be in your face, as hard as nails, good set piece. That's exactly. We don't bring anything special, but I think we'll win it.
Our forward pack is special. It's just not pretty.
I agree with Joe. I think it's going to be. I think it'd be more than a converted try. I think it'll be a 10-point game.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on next week's games?
I think there's going to be definitely that New Zealand game is going to be a scare for New Zealand. I don't think they'll lose, as you said, but I do think that this is the kind of game I think Eddie Jones has been waiting for his World. This will make his World Cup.
He has been.
New Zealand will make his World Cup pretty much. So to be fair, I'd never discount what Eddie Jones can come up with, considering how well they have done from where England were and how the kind of form England has. There might be something special coming here. So it's going to be an exceptionally tight game, something that's definitely didn't happen yesterday in those games there. To be fair, I have a little bit of the opinion at the moment that the better games happened yesterday and they didn't happen today. So that's a little unfortunate. On the other side, the South Africa-Wales game, I'm going to also pick South Africa. I just don't think Wales have the forward pack to it's going to be a very similar style. Smaller margin than today's win, but not much more. And it's going to pretty much be with Wales if Wales can pick up their defense, it'll be a closer game. Otherwise, South Africa might just run away with it second half.
Look, I also think we'll do it for another minute or two. I think if England get through New Zealand next, if they do, and that's a big if, I think that's going to be like their final. I think that they might have thrown everything in the kitchen sink at it. I think, but if New Zealand get through, then I think they've got an awesome chance of actually taking the cup completely. Getting the three-peat. But I think there's going to be an injury next week in the England-New Zealand game. I'm hoping it's not like a Bowden Barrett or an Owen Farrell or something like that. So at least it's a competitive final. But I just think the game's going to come. It's going to be bruising. I think it's going to be probably the game of the tournament.
Exactly. No, that's probably going to be most likely more entertaining than the final, because if South Africa is in the final, I don't want to count my chickens. We're not known for a very flashy game, so I don't think it's going to be a final with South Africa's in it is not pretty. Don't expect any tries. We still haven't scored a try in a final. So, that's probably going to be the most entertaining game of the next 2 weeks.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, Monenbach, for actually joining me today. It was a really, really great show. I actually thoroughly enjoyed today's show. It was really good chat. Thanks a lot for. I know you're having a braai and stuff, and I really appreciate you taking the time off. No problem. Thank you very much for having me. What I'm thinking is maybe if you would like, maybe if everyone can come join us on your channel this week before the show, if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to, and then and we can just get everyone through, and we can just do it like maybe before the game. Perfect. Yeah, we'll organize. Yeah, we'll have a show just before the game. I'll set one up. I'll chat to you and we'll let everybody know. But I think that's gonna be cool. I'd love for you to have you on my channel before the game. So we'll make a plan and we'll discuss it more. And I'll share it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Yes. No, thanks, man. Thanks for joining. But thanks a lot, guys, for joining into the show. Just remember, we've got a great week coming ahead. I think if you just go out there and just have a great time this week and just try to wake up every morning with a smile, the world will be a better place. Chat soon. Cheers. Yes.